Hey guys, my name is Meredith and today I will be showing you how I use resin to make jewelry and accessories for my wardrobe. My favorite part about resin is that it is so versatile. You can add any kinds of colors or glitters or charms and beads to make anything that you want, really. And these are some of the things I will be making in the video, just the finished products. You can see that I've made some keychains as well as some necklaces and rings. Yeah, you can make anything you want and you can make your pieces look 100% unique and like your own. If you're interested in any of the pieces I sell, check out the link below in the description for my shop, Darling Dream. Thank you for watching, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. First of all, it is always kawaii to protect yourself, so please wear gloves and a respirator when you work with resin. This is extremely important. Please don't skip this. We're gonna get started. First of all, I'm gonna show you my gloves. I'm wearing these dual nitrile gloves that I got from the hardware store. This is my resin. It's called Clearcast 7000. It's really nice resin. And for this particular resin, it wants you to pour the hardener before the resin itself. So that is what I'm going to be doing. I am going to be pouring 2 ounces of hardener. This particular resin is a 1-to-1 ratio by volume, which means you want to pour the same amount of ounces of hardener as you would resin. So I just poured 2 ounces of hardener. I'm going to pour 2 ounces of resin next. I have this whole process kind of sped up just so you're aware. The pouring and the mixing should be happening very slowly. You're going to mix this for about 5 minutes. It looks super cloudy at the beginning, but once you have mixed it longer, it's going to look clear. You're going to be noticing some bubbles, so you do want your resin to sit for at least 5 minutes before you do anything else to it. So yeah, this is the next step. I'm going to be adding some pigments to my resin. There are a few different ways you can do this, or a few different materials you can use rather to add pigment to your resin. I'm going to be making a lavender shade by using acrylic paint. This is a lavender acrylic paint, and it's just a basic paint from Walmart. And it actually appears pretty dark when I mix it in the resin, so I'm going to add a white acrylic paint as well. And these are very basic acrylic paints. As you can see, I'm only going to be adding a small drop. A little goes a really long way with resin and acrylic paints. You're going to want to mix these together very slowly, and you want to make sure that they are fully mixed before you add any glitters or anything else to your resin. So now I'm adding some basic glitter, and then I feel really bad that this glitter didn't show up very well on camera, but it's from Sophie and Toffee, and I love their glitters, and they have all kinds of cute inclusions rather for resin. I really like I like the brand a lot. So I'm going to be mixing it in now, and it's kind of hard to see. So here's another angle of what the glitters and the color looks like. It's a very nice light lavender. You can kind of see the glitter. Unfortunately, you can't see it very well. I will point out that acrylic paint is extremely opaque in resin, and that you'll want to apply a lot of glitter so that you can actually see it come through, as opposed to other types of dyes that you may be working with. Acrylic paint can be very opaque and very strong, I guess. So now I'm going to be making a deep pink, and I'm actually going to be using 2 different shades of this Color Pour opaque dye. This brand is sold by Michaels, and I believe you can also get it at Joann. It's really nice. It comes in all sorts of colors. Today I'm using a light pink and then a rose pink to make this really nice shade of pink right here. And then I'm going to be adding in the same types of glitter that I used in the last color, just a simple glitter and then this Sophie and Toffee glitter. Mix those together, and then here is the final product. Really nice shade of pink, some glitter. I didn't have to add as much to this one because, like I said, with the acrylic paint, this particular dye isn't as opaque as acrylic paint. Now I'm ready to pour. I let my resin sit for a few more minutes again, just to let some bubbles rise up and pop. And now I'm going to start pouring them into my molds. So I'm going to show you briefly all the molds that I'm going to be using, and you will notice later that I use a lot more molds because I always end up making a lot more resin than I really need to. That's alright, it's better to have more. I'm going to start with this heart lock mold. And like I said, I sped up these videos so that this isn't like an hour-long video, but I am pouring pretty slow. And I could really be pouring a little higher than I am currently in this video. But I wanted to make sure I didn't spill too much. I'm also using a toothpick to reach some of the areas that are a little skinnier in the mold, and the resin, you know, might not get there on its own. So I'm just helping it out with a toothpick. Pouring a little bit more just to make sure that the mold is fully, or that you've poured it all the way up to the top of the mold. So that one's done. I'm going to do this cute little star mold next. And I'm going to go in with my pink resin this time. I'm just going to pour that in. Most of these pieces that I'm pouring right now are for myself, but a couple of them are for a contest winner for Mystical Tea Garden. I'm going to be making an ombre keychain, speaking of, for that contest winner. And ombres are very fun to make, but they're also very stressful. You basically just have to make sure you pour both colors at the exact same rate of speed, I suppose, to keep it even. But you can also use a toothpick to kind of smooth it out. And then, yep, just trust in the process. Trust that it's going to work out. I'm going to go in with this unicorn mold next. I really like this mold. I am using it for necklaces on my Etsy shop currently. I have them in pink, lavender, Saxon mint. Super fun to make. Could also be really good for keychains. I'm going a lot slower with this mold because there's a lot of hard to reach areas, a lot of skinnier areas, and then I'm really going in with my toothpick and smoothing it out because a lot of air bubbles will hide in these hard to reach areas, so you kind of want to poke at it with a toothpick just to make sure everything is popped and there aren't any unpleasant surprises when you demold your resin later. And then I'm going to be pouring into my shaker mold here. And that is it for this particular batch, I believe. Oh, I'm making one more. I'm making another ombre right here. And this one is a little easier because it's smaller and the resin doesn't move around as much, and I can sort of take my time a little more. I like to make necklaces out of this particular shape. Again, I'm poking at it with a toothpick, smoothing it out, making sure that it's full all the way to the top. Otherwise, you could get some rough edges on the bottom that are fixable by sanding, but it's not my favorite thing to sit and do, so I try and fill those molds to the top. And then I'm going to fill this one as well. And then I'm going to fast forward and show you all of the molds that I ended up using as I realized I had way more resin than I needed. So this is everything I poured. Now I'm just going to let the resin sit for a few moments. As a few minutes pass, you'll begin to see some air bubbles rise up from the bottom up to the top layer. It's kind of hard to see in the video, but all of my pieces currently have these air bubbles. And I'm about to show you how I pop them. You can use a few different things. You can use a heat gun that you can just get on any, craft store or Amazon or something like that. But I actually just use a barbecue torch, which is also fine. You want to make sure that I don't know why I did this, I'm sorry, while I was filming. You want to make sure your flame doesn't touch the resin because it can really affect the curing process if there's too much heat applied to the resin, but enough heat will pop all those air bubbles for you and make things look a lot smoother. And then you want to cure your pieces for 24 to 48 hours roughly, but please read the instructions on your resin because every brand has a different cure time, so please make sure you know. This is what I do lastly to seal my items and make them look a little more polished and nice. I'm going to take my UV resin, and I'm also going to use a UV flashlight right here to kind of cure things up, and then to finish the curing process, I'm going to throw everything into this UV lamp. It's the same type of lamp that you would use, or that you would use for gel nails. So I'm gonna show you with this unicorn charm here that has already been cured. I'm going to squeeze all the UV resin up on top, and then I'm just going to use a toothpick to smooth it all out and make sure that it is covering every part of the surface of the piece, and that none of it is not covering, because then it won't come out as smooth, and you'll have to add another layer for it to actually come out smooth. So right now I'm curing it with the UV lamp, and I noticed while I was looking at it through the UV lamp that I missed a few spots, so I'm going to add one more layer, smooth it out, and then cure it with the UV flashlight. And then I'm going to throw it in the UV lamp to cure all the way. And I'm going to cure this piece for 2 to 4 minutes, and I'm going to repeat the process for the rest of them. Again, read the instructions on your resin, because some UV resins have different cure times. This is how everything turned out. I'm super happy with the end result. As you can see, you can add all sorts of embellishments and jewelry findings and anything else to just make your pieces be and look however you want. I hope you guys had fun watching me do my resin. Thank you so much for joining. Please make sure to subscribe to Rosé Forêt and check us out on social media. Thank you. Bye-bye.